Hello and welcome to the show. I'm so glad that you could join us today. Well, I tell you what, we've got a great show planned for you. You know, I always tell you that this year is the power of now on the Tammy Show. It's about doing things now, about meeting people, but living your dreams, just bringing them to reality. This month is Women's History Month, and we have some phenomenal women on the show. Today's guests are Alelia Bundles and Aria Elan, and as well as our poetic angel is joining us. So just sit back, relax, and enjoy because it's coming up next. The Curry Insurance Agency has served the community for over 30 years with hundreds of trained representatives to assist you in selecting health plans. Curry Insurance Agency is the largest marketing insurance group in the state of South Carolina for Medicare Advantage and represents all major health carriers. Curry's motto is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Call the Curry Agency today at 803-536-0889. The Cecil Williams South Carolina Civil Rights Museum is the Palmetto State's first and only museum. It honors a generation of people, black and white, throughout the state of South Carolina who deserve to be remembered for their unselfish commitments and sacrifices. Enjoy an immersive and entertaining virtual tour. For more information, visit www.cecilwilliams.com. Welcome back to the show. Well, I told you we have a great show planned for you. We're going to start with our poetic angel. Angel's always bringing us some beautiful poems. And so come on out, Angel.
Hello.
How are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
Great. So I'm going to let you get started, Angel, and thank you
Okay.
again for providing us with just some beautiful poems and sharing your talent with us. I appreciate you so much. You know that.
Thank you, and thank you for the opportunity.
Of
Our,
course.
our journey as sisters. Our journey in life has shown us that there will be things that will make us cry, and that we will experience disappointments and sometimes not know the reason why. The strength we gain from each other give us the courage to carry on, lifting one another's spirit even though we have many troubles of our own. Every night before God, we lift one another up in prayer, selflessly asking Him to remove the other's cares. This is why we can smile when our world is in disarray, because we know that when everything is upside down, we can always pray. So, my sister, I don't want you to ever think that you are by yourself, because you can always count on me whenever you need help. So, though the problems of this world may heavily weigh you down, remember for this very reason, our Father rose from the ground.
Wow. Thank you, Angel.
You're welcome.
I love it. I love it.
You're
Sisters,
welcome.
I love that. I love that. I needed to hear that today. That just kind of lifted my spirits. I needed to hear that. So thank you. And thank you for
You're
being my
welcome.
sister.
Thank you.
Okay. All right. We'll see you later, Angel.
Okay, bye-bye.
Okay. Bye-bye. All right, let me tell you one thing about Angel is she creates these poems herself. She writes them herself. And she has just done such a phenomenal job with just sharing these beautiful poems. And so I hope you are enjoying listening to Angel and the poems that she brings to us. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, I told you we have phenomenal guests. Besides our poetic Angel, who is phenomenal in her own right as well, I have the pleasure of introducing my first guest. She's a journalist. She's a news producer, worked with ABC for 16 years. I think she said ABC for 16 years, NBC for another years to make 30 years altogether. All right. So Miss Bundles, we'll get it straight. But the wonderful thing about her is that she's also an author. And she is the great granddaughter of Madam C.J. Walker. She wrote the book On Her Own Ground, The Life and Times of Madam C.J. Walker. So you've got to read that book. So without further ado, ladies and gentlemen, and everyone who's viewing us, please welcome Miss A'Lelia Bundles.
Hello, I'm so glad to be with you.
Yes, ma'am. I am so happy to have you on the show. Thank you again for taking time out of your busy schedule to join the Tammy Show.
Absolutely. And I have to say, Angel's poem was perfect, a perfect introduction to Madam Walker because her life was very much about empowering other women.
Yes, it was. Yes, it was. And so I want to start just by talking about you, Miss A'Lelia. Tell us a little bit about who A'Lelia Bundles is.
Well, I grew up in Indianapolis. Both of my parents were in the hair care business. I liked school. I worked for the school newspaper. That's how I got started as a journalist, and
Mhm.
really followed those dreams, encouraged by my parents, and had this long career in network television news. But I also had this amazing story about my great great grandmother, Madam C.J. Walker, that I have been privileged to tell.
Wow. And so, what inspired you to tell your story about your great great grandmother?
Well, my mother was vice president of the Madam C.J. Walker Manufacturing Company when I was growing up. The silverware that we used every day had Madam Walker's monogram, CJW, but we didn't sit around the dining room table talking about her. It wasn't
Mhm.
the center of my life, but it was somewhere there in the background, but not in a way that I thought, oh, this is, I'm overshadowed by it or it's something that I have to do. And really, I began to tell the story of her daughter, A'Lelia Walker, and the Harlem Renaissance. I wrote a report in high school because I was interested in her because she knew all the writers and artists and musicians
Mhm.
during that period. But it was really when I got to graduate school in journalism at Columbia. My advisor, Phyllis Garland, was the only Black woman on the faculty. She recognized my name, my unusually spelled name, and
Yes.
realized that I had a connection to Madam Walker. So it was Phil who validated this for me and told me it was important. That was 1975 when not a lot of people were interested in publishing books about Black women.
Wow. I mean, and that in itself shows that you are a trailblazer. I mean, because just think about it. You, like you said, at Columbia at the time, there was only one African American woman who was in that department.
Right.
And she inspired you and motivated you to really write this story. And so, getting into the story, I want to talk a little bit about the series, the Self Made series on Netflix. Was it a correct depiction of her life? Kind of share that with us.
Well, so, as they say, it's complicated. But, I have been doing research on Madam Walker for almost 50 years. I've written 4 books, done lots of speeches, talked about her. And I really focus, as a journalist, I really focus on nonfiction. My book, On Her Own Ground, was optioned by a Hollywood production company. And I was really excited that Octavia Spencer was going to play the role, and I thought she did a great job. But once it got into the hands of the Hollywood writers and showrunners, they put a lot of drama and a lot of spin and a lot of things that didn't happen. So more people know Madam Walker's name, but the cat fight between 2 women was really kind of the opposite of what happened.
Mhm.
And there were,
Mhm.
I've written some articles about it. People can check it out, what's pinned to my Twitter page. But by and large, again, Octavia was great. But I thought that there were missed opportunities to talk about women empowering each other, to talk about what that era was really like. So I would have done things a lot differently.
Well, will you have that opportunity to do so soon with your new book coming out?
Well, yes, absolutely. So I'm now writing about Madam Walker's daughter, A'Lelia Walker, and that character in Self-Made was nothing like her. It was just like stunning to me how they came up with the storylines. But I'm
Mhm.
almost finished with the first major biography of A'Lelia Walker, who was very much a patron of the arts. For people who saw Self-Made, she had a great singing voice, so no, she didn't do the kind of goofy stuff that was in the movie. But I'm also working on other projects about Madam Walker. So while there was a Netflix series, again, more people know the name. But there are a lot of other things that I'm really interested in doing. So, just stay tuned, and you will see some of the things that we're doing. Because I just think there's some other ways to tell the story that are sort of more uplifting.
And what would you say one of the biggest um, accomplishments that your great grandmother contributed to our country?
Well, when you think about the way that she started life, Sarah Breedlove, born in Delta, Louisiana, on the same plantation where her parents and older siblings had been enslaved, first child
Mhm.
in her family born free, orphaned at 7, married at 14, a mother at 17, a widow at 20. Yet, by the time she died in 1919 at 51, she was a millionaire living in a mansion. But I think just as important of creating a hair care products line, she employed thousands of Black women, giving them the opportunity to become economically independent at a time when most Black women worked either as domestic workers or farm workers. And she added to that just giving them a job, being economically independent. But she also said to them at her 1917 convention, one of the first conventions of women entrepreneurs, I want you to understand that your first duty is to humanity. I want
Mm.
others to look at us and realize that we care not just about ourselves, but about others. She gave prizes not just to the women who sold the most products, but to the women who contributed the most to charity. So, I mean, I know that this is very
Mm.
much what your program is about, women lifting other women up. And that's what she was doing.
Wow. And that's what you're doing by sharing these stories with us, because it gives us, and as I'm listening to you and as I saw the movie and read the book and everything, it gives us that empowerment that we need as women to carry on and to pass it on. The one thing that I wanted to ask you about was your best moments that you remember reading and learning about your great grandmother. What was one of those aha moments for you?
So, as you might imagine, in a book with almost 300 pages, a lot. But one of the things that really stuck with me was how she was helped by other women and how that became part of her core value system. When she was still a poor washerwoman, after she had been widowed, she moved to St. Louis, where her older brothers were barbers, and their barbershop was very near St. Paul African Methodist Episcopal Church. And
Yes.
folks who know about the history of the AME
Mhm.
Church
Emmy
know
Church.
that the idea, those school teachers were reaching out to poor Sarah Breedlove, the washerwoman. She had a good enough voice to be in the choir, so she began to aspire to something better for herself and her daughter. And those women began to give her a vision of herself as something other than an illiterate washerwoman. And she modeled her organization after the club women. So I saw that
Mm.
for me was a key revelation and a core part of her story. And then I would
Mhm.
say the other thing is that I love the fact that she was so militant, politically
Yes.
militant. That made me fall in love with her even more. That she and Ida B. Wells were good friends, and Mary McLeod Bethune. She was
Mhm.
speaking out, kind of Black Lives Matter 1.0. So that was
Yes.
important to me.
Yes. Do you think that you have some of her characteristics within you just from being her granddaughter? What characteristics are similar?
Well, I do have to say that my parents were my best role models because they were the ones in the house every day. They were leaders in the community. They were business people, and really taught me about giving back. But it was this idea as I began to do research about Madam Walker, I saw the power of having the courage to speak up. And I try to live with that. And I know that one of Madam Walker's strengths is that when she became, as she was becoming, wealthy and more powerful, she realized that it was Black people who had paved that way for her, who had made that possible. And
Mhm.
so even though her attorney told her sometimes to tone it down, she just kept pushing. And I'm really happy that I'm in the stage of life. Nobody can fire me. I can say what I want. I can say
Yes.
what I believe. I try to do it diplomatically. But that courage I feel I can see she is such a great example for that.
That's right. And what is the legacy that you want to leave about yourself as well as your family?
Well,
What's that?
I hope that in telling these stories, it encourages other people to learn their own family stories. While Madam Walker is famous, but I had to sort of dig that out to help her name become known to
Mhm.
this generation. But everybody has these people in their family, the people who made a way out of no way, the people who had courage, the people who sort of paved the way for the next generation. So I want to be known as a storyteller who empowered other people, and also somebody who gave of my time, who gave back in a way that helped others to see themselves the best in themselves.
Wow. Wow. I just talking with you just gives me chills because just listening to you, you are that woman that we all aspire to be. I mean, I'm looking at you like, oh, I want to be like her one day. I want to grow up, like they say. I want to grow up and be like Aaliyah Bundles. So I want to talk with you. Let's kind of switch because I would like to talk about the products because you're reviving those products and bringing them back to the generation that didn't know about Madam CJ Walker. Talk about that.
Well, the Walker products, Madam Walker founded her company in 1906 with two main products, a shampoo and what she called a wonderful hair grower. Now, this really solved problems that Black women were having at the time when most people didn't have indoor plumbing or electricity. So they didn't wash their hair very often, really bad dandruff and scalp infection. So that's what her original formula, her original system did. That solved that problem, gave women healthy scalps, their hair could grow back. The company actually never went out of business, but by the late 1950s, it wasn't a major competitor anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Then it was sold. My family and another family were involved. It was sold to another entity that owned the trademark for about 30 years. And then a little more than a decade ago, Richelieu Dennis, the founding CEO of Sundial Brands, that makes Shea Moisture and Nubian Heritage, which I know a
Yes.
lot of people use.
Mm-hmm.
Rich bought the trademark, and we met each other and began to talk about how to revive Madam Walker's line. He had grown up in Liberia. He'd heard about Madam Walker there, wondered what had happened. So we began to work together. And then when Rich sold Sundial to Unilever, he bought Essence Festival. He
Mm-hmm.
also created a venture capital fund for Black women entrepreneurs, and he created a foundation and purchased Madam Walker's mansion in Irvington, New York. Now, Kara Sabin, a sister, became the CEO of Sundial. And Kara and I began to have conversations about a year and a half ago saying, what can we do to make this available to people? And we put our heads together. We leaned in to Madam Walker's original mission of healthy scalps to create healthy hair. And here we are now with Madam by Madam CJ Walker, 11 items in our collection, shampoos, conditioners, and styling gels and balms and other things that allow people to have versatility in styling their hair.
Wow, look at these products. Those are, and I love the logo. I love the packaging. It's so attractive. How did you all come up with that? Was that a
So,
part of
well,
the original?
listen, I cannot take any credit for the design, but but a fabulous, fabulous team of advertising folks, marketing folks who really, I mean, a really great team of folks who put a lot of energy into it, a lot of time, just really leaning into the mission and the look. And in some ways, it's for everybody. I mean, it really is for everybody. But in some ways, we're really looking at a younger generation,
Mm-hmm.
Gen Z, because we know that they want to change their hair maybe every other day. And we wanted them to have that option and we wanted it to be attractive to them. But, I'm a boomer and I'm very happy with the
Yeah.
product.
I know. And so the question is from one of our viewers, Michelle. She wants to know, where are the products being sold?
Walmart, 3,000 stores across the country, and also at
Mm.
walmart.com.
Wow. So we have a clip. You sent us a clip and we'd like to show that and share that with everyone.
Let's stop asking.
Did you change your hair?
And no, you know you can't touch it. See, there are secrets and stories in these strands worth securing. No sorries in our style. Our roots are rebellious. They said live life to the fullest, so our hair took the honor. I mean, even our curls do it for the culture. And these baby hairs belong in a history book. So we're locking down the legacy and making sure history looks. Call us magic. Call us madam. Just put some respect on it.
Wow. I'm going to urge everyone. Listen, I got this hair. I'm going to start using Madam C.J. Walker. I love it. Oh, and I saw you.
I smile every time I see that, and
I
people
saw
can see it
you.
on YouTube and Instagram, and so take a look. And there are a lot of other videos. That was kind of the introductory one, but there almost every other day there's a new one with
Wow.
some fabulous, wonderful young woman doing her hair.
Yes, and you look so queenly sitting there with your hair, and how pretty you are as well. One of the things that I remember about Madam C.J. Walker, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, is about the Marcel irons, about you straightening the hair. And we saw it in the movie where she was straightening the hair. Did she come up with the Marcel iron?
No. So that, it's so interesting that a lot of the times the sort of the one key thing that people think they know about history is actually not true. So Madam Walker did not invent the hot comb or the Marcel irons. They really were around at least in the 1870s, and she wasn't born until 1867.
Right.
But she did use them. I mean, she did use the hot comb. So yeah, that another thing you can't believe about the movie. But one thing that I think is important is that she really was focused on healthy scalps, healthy hair when women were going bald because of these scalp infections. But once their hair grew back, they did want to be able to have some styling versatility, and she used the hot comb because she thought it was an improvement over pullers. So pullers, now we know flat irons. But pullers at the time, if you imagine two hockey pucks, one on top of the other on the end of scissors, and you'd heat that, but then it flattened the hair. And she thought the comb separated the strands. So it was, a nuance, but that was where she was coming from.
Wow. So what's next for you? What's next for you? And I do want to ask you another question about advice, but I want to find out from you, what's next for you?
So what I'm trying to finish this book, the biography on A'Lelia Walker. I have some other projects. I'm on some advisory boards and some nonprofit boards. I'm working on a couple of other projects related to Madam Walker. There will be some other new announcements later on this year that I can't quite share with you yet.
Yes.
But Abby, what I'd really like to do is travel and read a lot of the books that are in my house that I haven't read yet. But I don't know that that's ever really going to happen. But that's my goal.
Well, we would love to have you come down to South Carolina on your travels and share with the women in our communities in Charleston and here in Orangeburg and different places in this state, and we bring together women. So I want to talk with you about that because a women's conference is needed. It's time to get back, for us, as you said, to empower women and to really let women know that you are beautiful. You are number one. You can do it. And so, A'Lelia, I would love to have you come down here and talk with us about that. But we'll get together because I know you're.
Listen, I love South Carolina, so I would love to come.
Wonderful, because I'm from Charleston, so we're gonna get you down there.
What a
Yes,
great
ma'am.
story.
We're going to have you come down here. So, I want to ask you, what advice would you give to young women now, as you see our communities and how young women are, and the things that they want to do, the dreams that they want to live? What advice would you give them?
This will sound a bit like a cliche, but it is really true. Your education is the most important thing. It really is important to do as well as you can. That is your job when you are a young person. Get as the best grades that you can get. And I think one of the other things that I learned along the way is be involved in extracurricular activities. Working for the newspaper for me was the door that opened so much for me in my career. So whatever your interest may be, go with that, dedicate yourself to it. And then as I got older, as I started to work, working for a living, but I've done a lot of volunteer work. And sometimes the volunteer work that doesn't pay you
Mhm.
introduces you to some of the most interesting people with whom you can network. And so I have grown a great deal. Sometimes when I hit walls in my career development, because we all hit walls, we all have challenges. I was able to do leadership in the volunteer activities in my alumni groups and other organizations. So, cliche, learn as much as you can, be as good a student as you can, be
Mhm.
involved in extracurricular activities, which can help you discover perhaps your career path. And then once you're out in the world, make sure that you are giving back, that you are, being a leader in your community.
Wow. And what's the advice that your parents shared with you that you live by today?
Just those things. Be a
Those
good student.
big,
I mean, really. But then sometimes I said, well, if you want me to be a good student, why do I have to wash the dishes? Well, because you do have to wash the dishes. That's why. But they really did encourage me. I'm very lucky that there was no pressure for me to follow in anybody else's footsteps, that I was
Mhm.
to do the thing that I felt most passionate about. And that then led me back to telling this story. So I'm grateful to them for letting me be who I was.
Wow. And we are grateful that you are who you are and you're here sharing all of this, all of these nuggets on the Tammy Show. I'm just so grateful to you. As I said, just talking with you, I get chills because I love to learn, I love history, and I love to hear about what it is that we can do to move ourselves further. And so then that brings me to my last question, or statement, 3 words that describe you.
Oh boy, why is that always the hardest?
I save it for last.
I am determined.
Hmm.
I am tenacious. And I hope on my best days I'm generous.
Generous. Wow. Well, yes, you are, because when I emailed you and you emailed me back immediately and said that you would share your story and all that was going on with, everything that you're doing here on the show. And so, again, I am so honored and so blessed that you could join us, Miss Aaliyah Bundles.
Well, I just love your spirit. And I am just so glad that you are doing such important work in the community because you really do lift others up. And it is a joy and an honor to be with you this evening.
Well, thank you so much. I would love for you to come back once all those announcements are made and your new book and everything. I would love to have you come back.
That's a bet.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Wow, I love it. Thank you so much, Miss Aaliyah, and may God continue to bless you and everything that you're doing. You're such a light, and we thank you so much for all that you're doing and contributing to our country and to our women and men.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. I want to thank you for joining the show, and we'll see you the next time.
Absolutely. Look forward to it.
Okay. Thank you. Have a good night.
You too.
Okay. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Wow. What can I say? I mean, chills. Like I told her, I have chills just thinking about all that she has been doing and what she is doing to share the story of her great grandmother, Ms. Madam C.J. Walker. What more can you ask for? All right. So enough said. I'll tell you, Miss Lelia, you got it. Thank you again for being on the show. And we have another guest coming up on the show, Miss Aria Elon, and you're going to meet her because she's a very special lady as well. So we'll be right back.
The Cecil Williams South Carolina Civil Rights Museum is the Palmetto State's first and only museum. It honors a generation of people, black and white, throughout the state of South Carolina who deserve to be remembered for their unselfish commitments and sacrifices. Enjoy an immersive and entertaining virtual tour. For more information, visit www.cecilwilliams.com. The Curry Insurance Agency has served the community for over 30 years with hundreds of trained representatives to assist you in selecting health plans. Curry Insurance Agency is the largest marketing insurance group in the state of South Carolina for Medicare Advantage and represents all major health carriers. Curry's motto is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. Call the Curry Agency today at 803-536-0889.
Welcome back to the show. Well, I told you we have another phenomenal guest, and she is a singer, songwriter. She is an attorney. Now, she's from Charleston, South Carolina. She's a graduate of the College of Charleston and Southwestern University School of Law. And she's joining us all the way from the other side of the country. So come on out, Ms. Aria Elon.
Hi, thank you so much for having me. It's a pleasure to be on your show.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much for being on the show. So now, wait a minute. You're from Charleston, South Carolina.
Yes, I am. Born and raised. Yes, I am. And a graduate of the College of Charleston.
And listen, I'm gonna go back. So people just take a minute and let me have this conversation. Where did you grow up in Charleston?
Well, I grew up two places. As a child, west of the Ashley, and on my parents' farm, and that was in Adams Run. Then we moved to downtown, to the city of Charleston, and I went to school there. And then my parents moved back. They didn't like city life. They thought they could. How you can dream about something and you really think, oh my God, I want to do this. And then once it becomes a reality, it's not what you thought it was going to be.
Wow. Well, I grew up West Ashley, Washington Park, Marysville, went to St. Andrews High School, and I ended up on Young's Island. So for anybody that's listening, they know about Young's Island, they know about Adams Run. If you say Adams Run, you know where that is. Tougadoo Road, okay?
Yes, it's Tougadoo Creek. I remember we used to go there, crabbing, shrimping, all of that. Yeah,
that's right.
Memories.
So I guess I'm going to shift. I want you to tell us about your being an entertainment lawyer. What started you into moving from Charleston? You're now out in LA, in California. And so talk about that transition that you went through from College of Charleston and Southwestern and now singing and everything. I just kind of want you to tell us a little bit about you, Aria.
Okay. Well, my father, the late Reverend Alfred Edwards, was a pastor for 50 years. And my mother was an evangelist, and she really, really believed in education. And I'm one of 6 children, and she just put that in our heads because she said that's something that nobody can take away from you. So when she knew all along, because I grew up singing and playing piano in our church, that that's what I wanted to do. But she told me that Black people have been singing for 400 years. Where has it gotten us? Get your education. So being a fairly obedient daughter, I'm not saying that I was an angel, but I'm so happy that I listened to her when it came to my education. And she's the
Mhm.
one who filled out my application for the College of Charleston. And once I started going, then that's when it came into my mind that to make a difference, I really wanted to become an attorney, because I started working at the Charleston Legal Aid Office.
Mhm.
And that is how I just really started working around attorneys and saw the impact that they had. And I was working in the migrant division. So you're
Mm.
familiar with Young's Island, and they used to have
Yes.
what we call quarters there for the
Quarters, that's
seasonal
right.
workers to
Yes.
come in, and they were not following the codes, of
Mhm.
keeping it up. I mean, it was a disgrace. So we would have to go there and, take photos, talk to people, and actually represent them in court, and then help people who had landlord tenant matters, getting evicted, the kind of things that working people
Mhm.
need attorneys for. And so frequently they cannot afford attorneys. And if you go into court, I think it was Ben Franklin who said, anybody who's representing himself has a fool for a client,
Right. That's
because
yes,
just
yes.
take a butcher knife and do your own surgery. You
Yeah.
way over your head.
Yes.
But once I got to LA and was starting law school, I just met so many people in the entertainment industry. And, that dream of being involved with the industry in the
Mhm.
business, the music business, was still in my mind and heart. So I said that this was a way, by being an entertainment attorney, that I could combine my loves. So I did that in Los Angeles as well as in New York,
Mhm.
and traveled the world, went to music conferences and France and just all over the place. But in 2012, I decided that I wanted to finally do my own music. I had helped
Mm.
so many artists, managers, independent
Mhm.
record companies, you name it. And I made my first album, which is called Smile, was released in 2013. I released another album. The second one was called Hotter. And then in 2020, my album Fun came out, because with everything going on in 2020, I felt
Mhm.
people needed a break, from just so much bad news, and I
Mhm.
wanted to keep with that positivity and putting uplifting music out there. So my latest album, which is called Don't Let Them Get You Down, was
Mhm.
released February 18th of 2022 this year. So that brought me
Wow.
up to where I am. Yeah, that's
Yes.
it. Don't let them
Don't
get
let them
you
get
down.
you down. I love that. Now, did you create the cover yourself? Did you do the
No, my
artwork?
daughter, her name
Good.
is Eden, and she is an incredible, not only artist, but she's just a very gifted composer and pianist. And she composed three of the songs on my new album, Mystic Spirit,
Mhm.
Drifting Rivers, and then one of my favorites, which is called Faith is Power. And she composed that for the homegoing service of my sister, her aunt,
Mm.
which was in 2020. And
Mhm.
that was during the height of the pandemic. And we couldn't even have a real service. We had to have a Zoom service. So it
Mhm.
was, and I know that we weren't the Lone Ranger. There was so many
That's right.
families going through this. And, I wanted to put that song, that's the last song on my album, Faith is Power. And it's just a beautiful devotional hymn. The
Mhm.
other songs, are R&B, jazzy, my
Mhm.
type of style. But as
Mhm.
being born and raised in the church, it was like coming back home, and especially with Eden composing it and playing the piano, it was very intimate. It's just the
Wow.
two of us.
Wow.
I'm singing lead, and then I also sang in the studio the background vocal arrangement.
Mm.
So my hope and prayer is that that song will just really touch and help people to bring peace and comfort to them when they need it. Because it's not just bereavement, it's all
That's right.
kinds of
That's right.
challenges that we are going through,
That's
in this
right.
life. So music is the universal language.
Yes, it
If I
is.
didn't
Yes.
know that, I really found that out once I started creating, and all of my
Mhm.
songs are original, creating and releasing my music, because people from all over the world contact me on social media, which I'm Aria Elan, ARIAELAN, on all of the platforms, and they'll give me personal stories.
Yeah.
People who don't even speak English,
Wow.
but
Isn't that something?
the music touches them.
Touches them. And so we're going to take just a minute, because you also brought a clip, and I want people, since we're talking about your style and your music, I want them to see you. So
Thank you.
let's run that clip.
We all live under the same sun. We are one. We are one.
Wow, we are one. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
What was it like creating that video as well as that particular song?
Oh, it was just such a pleasure. It was just so rewarding, because we shot scenes. Well, first of all, let me back up and say recording the song, we started recording that song in 2020. Again, in the midst of the pandemic. The sisters who are singing background vocals are called Africa Mamas, and they're located in South Africa.
Wow.
So my producer is in the Bronx, New York. I'm out here in California. So we're in all these different spaces. But once the music was created, and then I went into the studio and sang vocals, then my producer sent that to South Africa. And then they went into the studio over there. And I didn't even know, when they told me where they were from, I'm thinking they're from the city or something.
Right.
They live way out in the country, but they got a ride, and they went to the studio, and the rest is history.
Wow.
So when it came time to make the video, what I wanted to do was to just have something that would automatically make people feel, just comfort, make them feel relaxed, fun, and everything. So we shot my scenes on location on Hawaii, and then there were scenes shot in Africa, and then we had like the Caribbean scenes that were not shot in the Caribbean. They were shot in Canada. A lot of people don't know. They know there's a large Caribbean population here in the US, but there's a very large population in Canada too. And they have in Toronto, I don't remember the name of it, but it's a Caribbean festival. A lot of Trinidadians, and so we combined it all, my videographer, and just made an uplifting video.
That's wonderful. So now, you wrote a musical as well. And so wanted to find out what inspired you to do that, and what was the process?
Oh, that was just a wonderful, wonderful process, because the name of the musical is Amantla Kamandela, and that brought me to New York, because after I wrote it, I ended up sending it to a friend of mine who was in New York, and I knew she's also an attorney, and I knew that she had connections with the theatrical world. And which brings it all the way back to what we were taught, is who you know and how you treat people.
That's right.
The personal relationships in life, determine so much. So that's why I am kind to people. I didn't care if they were working in the fields, they were a waiter, they were whatever. because as the situation in Ukraine and other war zones show, you could be living a comfortable life, everything normal and ordinary one day. The next day, it could be war or some natural disaster, and you're a refugee. You're
That's right.
leaving with just the
With
clothes
you.
on your
That's
back.
right. That's
So with the going back to the musical was about, it's like a tribute to President Mandela.
right.
And his wife, Mama Winnie Mandela, and the whole
Mhm.
struggle against apartheid. And that's something that interested me from college days. I remember writing a paper um, about South Africa and South Carolina,
Mm.
showing that we had an apartheid system also, a
Mhm.
caste system,
System.
not just
Mhm.
class, based upon skin color.
Oh, yes.
That was all these codes. And if you violated those codes, you could be arrested, you could be lynched, you could lose your job, all these kind of things. So I really, really admired him. And
Mhm.
then I had a South African brother who was the musical director, and I needed to go to New York to work with him because when I submitted it, I had about, I think, 3 or 4 songs, in the
Mm.
script.
Mhm.
But you need a bunch of
Bunch of
songs for a musical,
yes, yes,
and
yes.
I wanted that authenticity. So, and I had a South African director, Brother Salilo Moreri, and I just wanted that kind of connection. So that is what brought me to New York. I was only supposed to stay a few months, ended up staying almost 5 years. Except that
Wow.
cold ran me away.
I know. Ran you back to out to
Yes,
California. How
back to
about that?
California
Yes,
packing.
ma'am.
I'm like, I can't take
Wow.
one more winter.
I know. I know the feeling. So, Aria, let's talk about your record company, Sissy
Yes.
Records.
CC.
CC.
Yes.
CC Records.
And it was just a spin off of, I had a management company during that time that was called ISIS Management. So CC is just ISIS backwards. And
Mm.
I wanted to be able to help talented, independent artists who were putting out positive music. But see, the music industry was really going through a change that we're seeing right now,
Mhm.
meaning that if you weren't singing a lot of songs or rapping with a lot of cussing and everything, then you were not going to get a deal. So what I did was actually release 2 compilation albums, and there were 10 different artists on each album. And then I released an album on a gospel group that's called Arise. They were from New York.
Mhm.
Oh, just wonderful, wonderful music that's still being streamed as of today.
Mm.
So that's how come I was able to help so many people, because it just dawned on me, just do a compilation, put one song, one is better than none.
That's right.
And of
That's right.
course, everybody wants to get like a whole deal, but
Yes.
I figured that way I could just showcase. So I did like a dance compilation CD, and then I did a love music. And
Mhm.
one of the artists who submitted 2 songs for is called Universal Love was actually the artist and songwriter, producer, first woman producer at Motown Records. Her name is Sylvia Moy,
Mm.
and she's just so talented. She wrote My Cherie Amour. She
Yes.
kept Stevie Wonder
Wonder, yes, she
from
did.
getting fired, because when his
Mhm.
voice changed, Barry White was going to terminate him,
Ah,
because a lot of people don't know he started off as little Stevie
yeah.
Wonder, when he was a boy getting
Yeah.
signed. And then that's transition, with you becoming a
Mhm.
man, your voice changed. So that My
Yes.
Cherie Amour, as everybody knows, was just a monster hit, but people don't know Sylvia Moy. So
Right.
she wrote 2 songs that 2 of her artists from Detroit. I'm sorry, from
Mhm.
Detroit actually sang on "You Can Depend on My Love" was one of my favorites.
Oh,
I don't
wow.
even remember the other one, but that
Uh-huh.
one just tells the story right there in the title. And
Wow. You
so
can
I had
depend
the
on.
pleasure of working with a lot of talented artists over the years.
Yes. And so are you still looking for artists with CC Records?
Well, I'm always open, for helping artists. I mean, I
Mm-hmm.
am not doing it like I once was, but
Mm-hmm.
then, if I hear somebody, and then more so than just hear somebody that has talent, because there's a lot of people that have talent,
Talent. Yes.
but you have to have that kind of thirst and passion and desire, just the same way you have for breathing. That's how you have to have if you want to make, a success
And
out of your life,
that's right.
because the saying that I grew up with is just as true, or even more so true today, that as African Americans, we have to work twice as hard, many
Yes.
times, to get half as much. So I really look for that kind of work ethic
Mm-hmm.
in people, if they contact me. I
Mm-hmm.
have to see you. And I was raised on God helps those who helps
Help them.
themselves.
That's
Faith
right.
without works
Is dead. That's
accomplishes
right.
nothing.
That's
You
right.
gotta have both in this life. So, and then
Mm.
I'll be coming back to Charleston. We're gonna be shooting a video for one of my songs that's called Sankofa. And that song is all about it's a Ghana word,
Mm-hmm.
Ghanaian word,
Yes.
that from the Twi language, that means, loosely translated, is that you have is a mythical bird with the feet going forward, but the head is in the face is kind of turned, really knowing where you came from,
Mm-hmm.
to be
To
able
move
to
forward.
understand the world and where you are going. So
Mm.
it's a very spiritual, beautiful song, and we're going to be shooting scenes in Charleston.
Fantastic. Oh,
One of
wow.
my nieces, her name is Katrina Edwards,
Mm-hmm.
has a wonderful business in North Charleston, where it's called Ada Mae's Place, which was named after her late mother, who was my best friend. I
Mm-hmm.
introduced her to my brother,
Mm-hmm.
Katrina's father. So we're going to be shooting there. We're going to be looking for two principal dancers, one of which also needs to be a choreographer. So again, Aria Elan, Ariaelan. Message me on Facebook, Instagram, and I will definitely get back with you. And then also, scenes are going to be shot on location in Ghana,
Oh,
and then
wow.
our
Then
videographer will put it
put it
all
together.
together.
So I mean, you got a lot going on, Ari. And when you come to Charleston, I hope I get to meet you
I
in
really hope I
person.
get to meet you.
Yeah, I would love that. And so, who were your inspirations growing up?
Well, first and foremost, I would say my parents. I was really blessed. And I didn't even know, of how blessed. You take it for granted. You as a kid,
Mm-hmm.
if you have two parents, loving, who are come home from school and your mother has something cooked, you just have to do your chores, that kind of thing. Only when I went to college and I met people that had, our people can make jokes out of some of the saddest things. And I think that's a survival skill. So they would
Mm-hmm.
say it in a joking manner. But when they would talk about, their childhood, it was, it was like very tough,
Mm-hmm.
so I can really say that every good thing about who I am, I owe to my parents.
Mm-hmm.
Musically, I was influenced by Billie Holiday
Oh, yes.
and Ella Fitzgerald, Aretha Franklin, Marvin Gaye,
Mm-hmm.
the
Wow.
greats.
Yes,
Greats, vocally, musically, these were just phenomenal artists. And one of the things that I want to mention is that I was always taught that being a woman, that women supposed to be leaders. We're supposed to do good things, do great things. And I was talking, I gave a talk on Tuesday, which was International Women's Day,
Mm-hmm.
about women's leadership, specifically because the state of California has a California Reparations Task Force to pay reparations, which is for like the debt, which
Mm-hmm.
is a word that the late Dr. King, Martin Luther King, said for what's owed us for crimes against humanity.
Mm-hmm.
And I had figured they're just trolls. I don't even respond to those kind of things. But they were saying that no, a woman should not be a leader. That was because of slavery. And I'm thinking, where would we be if it wasn't for people like Queen Mother Audley Moore, who led the reparations movement, met with all of the leaders at the time, Dr. King, Malcolm X, all of these people, to bring that on the agenda, politicians. Biddy Mason, which a lot of people don't know, she was enslaved and she had to walk from someplace down south, I think it was Georgia, wherever they were from, to California. The horses, the cattle, or whatever, and the enslaved people. I have taken that drive many times, and that's if you only stop to gas up and change drivers, that's a 2.5 day drive from Charleston to Los Angeles. I can just even imagine. But what Miss Mason accomplished once she got to California, which people are like, oh, California was a free state, it didn't have slaves. It did, because a lot of these people just disobeyed the law, and if it's such a big state, California, imagine the whole East Coast down to Florida,
right.
and that's the size of California. So you can get lost there.
Yes.
But God put it on people's heart, good people, to help her in court, to file saying that she should be free, and she won her case.
Wow.
She ended up owning so much property, real estate, and she gave to the AME Church to establish the first AME Church in Los Angeles. It wasn't until like after the Mexican War, when the Texans and stuff won, and they were, a lot of the Black people who were living in California, including Mrs. Mason, had to leave and lost everything, everything that they had accomplished. But Harriet Tubman, Sojourner Truth, where would we be
without
that?
That's
So
right.
I would encourage little, Black girls, brown girls, this is Women's History Month, to read, to be encouraged, to be inspired. I love to mentor. Reach out to me, college students, just please reach out to me, because people help me. I am not one of those people, oh yeah, I pull myself up by my bootstraps. No, when people see you doing everything you can, working hard, studying hard, God will put people in your life to help you to sustain where you are, and then to help you get to the next level. So I definitely advocate and believe that women should aspire to be whatever
they want
to be,
That's
whatever
right.
your passion is for.
Wow.
Don't let anybody steal your joy.
That's right. Well, Ari, it was such a pleasure having you on the show. I mean, you are such an accomplished artist, as well as an attorney, entertainment lawyer, and music producer, all the above. And
Oh,
the
thank
last
you.
thing I want to ask you, because we've only got a couple of seconds left, but I want to ask you 3 words that describe you.
Wow. I would have to say creative and kind and intelligent.
Intelligent. Yes, you are.
Thank you.
Yes, you are. Well, we want to show your handles again, the Instagram and your website as well, where people can get in touch with you and just where you'll be able to help them, like you said. And I mean, I want to hear all this new music and everything that's coming out. So I hope that when you do come to Charleston, that you will reach out and we'll be able to connect.
You can definitely count on it. And
Yeah.
thank you so much again. It was a wonderful, wonderful show.
Well, thank you for being on this show. I just appreciate it so much. I'm so honored to have the wonderful guests that I've had on today. And so thank you. And may God continue to bless you as well as you move around and do the things that you do and create and help others.
Oh, you are so sweet. May
Thank
God
you.
continue to bless you and your family too.
Thank you so much,
Good
Aria.
evening now.
Okay, take
Bye-bye.
care. Bye-bye. Wow, we've had a great show. I tell you what, I'm sitting up here almost in tears because do you realize the women that came on the show today really are giving of themselves and empowering other women as well as others in their communities. And so I'm hoping that you will do the same. I wanted to show also the Facebook page for Miss Aaliyah Bundles. We didn't get to do that before she left, but I want to make sure that people get to know how you can reach her as well. So I want to thank all of my guests. I want to thank Poetic Angel, you're the best. Miss Aaliyah Bundles, great granddaughter of Madam C.J. Walker. Miss Aria Elan, entertainment lawyer, singer, songwriter, music producer, just all of the above. I want to thank these ladies for taking their time to be on the show. I want to thank you always, viewers, for tuning in to Tammy. Please remember, hit that subscribe button. I also want to thank my producers, my associate producer, Alicia, my assistant producers, Willie, Felicia, Tiana. You are the best. And I want to say thank you so much. You can reach us on all of the social media, Facebook, YouTube, of course, LinkedIn, and now TikTok. All right. So just remember, hit the subscribe button on YouTube. Please subscribe to the channel. Also share, like, make comments on the TikTok, same as LinkedIn, all of them, Facebook. So just remember, and it's time for us to support each other and take care of each other. So I want you all to remember, be a blessing to somebody today and every day. And I'm going to say that every time I do the show, be a blessing to somebody today and every day. And I'm still wearing my mask. I don't know what y'all saying about it, but I'm still wearing my mask. And yes, I'm social distancing and still washing my hands. But anyway, that's me. All right. So without further ado, I just want to tell you again, thank you. Thank you for always tuning in. Thank you for your support. And thank you for joining me. Until the next time, take care of yourself. Bye-bye.
Happy Women's History Month, and special thanks to Miss Tammy McCautry. She's really has been like an inspiration to me, a mentor, teaching me things and really helping me throughout my internship with her. She's become like another mother to me, and she's just like a great person all around. Great attitude. She's very positive. I just want to thank you for all that you do, and you deserve to be talked about and give all the love to. Happy Women's History Month to you. We love you.
Hey, Miss Tammy, thank you so much for the many nuggets of wisdom that you have bestowed upon me. I must say, when I first met you, you welcomed me with open arms, and I really do appreciate you taking your time to spend with a knucklehead like me. So I definitely appreciate it, and I hope that you enjoy your Women's History Month. Love you.
Hi, Miss Tammy. As you can see, we are here to tell you Happy Women's History Month. We really feel like you deserve to be honored on this month. This is truly an amazing experience to just be able to work with you, and I am so thankful to be to have this opportunity, and I thank God for you that I was able to meet you and that I can go through this entire experience with you, and I pray that everything just works out in your favor and that everything that you are doing right now, it will just grow and multiply times 10, because you are one of the most amazing ladies that I have ever met, and I just thank you so much for everything that you've done for us and all that you're like going to continue to do for us, because you're just such a sweet lady and you really deserve to be honored for this. We had this idea, I think it was Tiana who came up with it, to honor you for this, because we didn't do any of the others, like videos that we did for like Black History Month. It was because we were planning on for this one. We were originally going to have others, but you know, it just worked out this way, and it, you know, it couldn't have worked out any better, because this is truly just like an emotional thing for like just the three of us to say thank you for all that you have done. And yeah, Happy Women's History Month.